G'day all, I'm Paddy the Platypus, and I'd like to welcome you to this disaster fire, also known as the MCU's Phase 4. I've wanted to make YouTube videos for a long time, but just never known where to start. But when I saw Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I knew that's where I'd begin. In saying so, a 38,000 word first draft was whipped up, so I'll be hooking into a nice video series ripping that show a new one. Anyway, this is going to be a precursor and foundation for that series, as well as a bit of an introduction to the channel. It's going to take me a long time, so I might just do little videos like this in the meantime. I'm a huge fan of the MCU, with character work being my favourite part of storytelling. The expansive universe has huge potential for telling great stories as individual movies, as well as having journeys that last much longer. So when we get a character like Bucky, with appearances in all 3 Captain America movies and Infinity War, as well as a small bit of screen time in Endgame, and very brief scenes in Ant-Man and Black Panther, you can really explore what makes this character tick. However, when you have a character such as Bucky, you have to be careful with your writing decisions, because it's up to the writer to understand their motives, character choices, and ideals. So, when you don't have a clear understanding of what their drive would be, you end up changing who that character is fundamentally. And so, with great power comes great responsibility. You really don't want to fuck this up. Now, WandaVision wasn't much of a letdown for me, due to my lack of investment going in. The story is broken, and the rules of the MCU have now been changed to a degree that I don't think they're aware of, and Wanda is so extremely powerful. This in itself is a huge problem going forward, because they'll either have to nerf her hard, or introduce an even bigger, more powerful being. But hey, things can't get worse from here, right? I was really looking forward to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, for simplicity, this show is now called Bird and Arm, because I don't want to keep saying the long title. Anyway, as I was saying, I was really keen to watch Bird and Arm, due to there being so much potential with writing for both characters, and where you could take their stories, especially Bucky. For example, trying to get over being the Winter Soldier, moving on without Cap, being an 106-year-old man living in 2020s. Oh wait, the story touched on all of these things. To a minor fucking degree, and then drops them all. Like it was a literal checklist, and then once they mentioned him, it's like, righto, we just reminded the audience of what Bucky should be like. Tick, tick, tick. Now, with what we want to do with him. It's almost like they took post-Endgame Bucky, stated that there's these problems, and he's trying to get over them, then threw the first Avengers version of Bucky into the show, hoping no one will notice. And, as for Sam, personally never been my favourite, but never really hated him. I liked him when he was teamed up with Cap, but I feel like we've never been given too much with the character. So a show where you can dedicate some time to explore and work on why Steve felt that he was worthy of taking the Captain America mantle would be interesting, because they do know each other very well. And now as an audience, we want to see why he was entrusted with such a title. Also, I started writing the script for Bird and the Arm well before the Loki show started, so I didn't take into account that there was no free will and everyone's doing what those 3 lizard people, or the TVA, or Kang chooses. It's just a perfect thing to do in storytelling if you just want to remove character, stakes, and, well, now you can do whatever you want with the story. Because now you have the safety blanket of, everything was supposed to happen that way, or else they would have been melted. And what if? Actually, I'll get there in a sec. I want to talk about Disney's decline in quality recently, and why it's been lapped up the way that it is. Over the last 13 years, Marvel Studios has been building an expansive universe with characters who are brilliantly portrayed by individual actors, and viewers can attach themselves to these characters. Now we have these characters that people already like, and have preconceived ideas about how these characters can be used as we move forward. Notice how I didn't say how characters can be expanded upon. That's because that idea is crazy. Why fix what ain't broke, right? All these new shows and movies are made knowing that you already care about these characters, that you already like them, leading me to the idea of character reliance. With Loki, they know Hiddleston's portrayal of the God of Mischief, if we can even call him that, is a fan favourite. Especially after his portrayal in Ragnarok and his fitting send-off in Infinity War. But no one's ever really gone. So why not take a previous version of himself and just make him the way that he was in Ragnarok? Done. Wait, how'd we do it? Avengers Loki, what's the MCU? Don't worry, it makes sense. Huh? Loki from the Avengers? He's a menacing, clever and intimidating character. There's no way you'd believe this place even exists.
But look, the visuals, wow, that's incredible. Colours.
It's extremely surface level, but what the show introduces is some of the biggest bullshit when it comes to writing. All of these moments from the MCU, yeah, they're actually meaningless. Because there wasn't actually free will until this clown killed this clown. So, technically it's Kang we can thank for making Iron Man sacrifice himself. Wait a second. That also makes Kang responsible for... Moving on. Now we get the multiverse, which is these writers' wet dream, because now, if shit doesn't make sense in canon, they can just say it was another universe or some shit. Which leads perfectly into fucking what if. So far only 2 episodes in, and Jesus Christ, how have they done it again? In episode 2 alone, they make Thanos a fucking joke.
I'm a big enough man to admit when I'm wrong.
Peter Quill an absolute asshole, and T'Challa a bloody Mary Sue.
T'Challa here showed me there was more than one way to reallocate the universe's resources.
Sometimes the best weapon in your arsenal is just a good argument.
The concept of what if is an amazing idea for storytelling. As previously stated, I love character work. This leaves me with a subjective bias towards movies and shows. I can forgive a weaker story in favour of good characters. They're written in a clever way and they're consistent. So establishing characters, then placing them in scenarios to explore how they'll act is a great way to build upon these characters. Therefore, What If is a perfect way to explore this idea. When each episode isn't following the MCU canon, you don't have to work as hard with keeping your story consistent with the overall MCU storyline. However, you're using the pre-existing characters. So if these versions of the characters you're using are going to be different, you're going to have to explain why. And no, surprisingly enough, having a chat to T'Challa is not a valid example of this. Disney is using the pre-notion that the audience loves these characters, then throws in a few themes, some expensive visuals and memorable sound design and scores to distract the viewer from the fact that that's where all of their time is going. Writing is taking a back seat to all of these other elements because they know they can get away with it. Writing is hard. There's a reason that not everyone's a writer and that the writers we have aren't just spewing unlimited content out. There's so much time in planning alone. Then there's the writing part of it, then the redrafting, then proofreading, then finally executing what you've spent so much time on. Now, if writers are getting away with shitty scripts that don't have half the amount of planning or redrafting, why would they bother? The love of the craft would obviously be the part that separates the boys from men. But apart from that, there seems to be no incentive to spend the time on making a bulletproof script, because they know people will eat up whatever they throw at them, as long as there's recognisable characters. Disney has already done it with Mando, bringing Boba, Bo, Ahsoka, Luke and R2, and Bib Fortuna. Boba! So after the success of that, they know what they can do just to get asses in seats. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for bringing back old characters to expand on them. But it's the expanding part that I keep hoping for and am not given. Looking at the upcoming Marvel slate, the character Reliance is strong with this one. Black Widow, Bird and Arm, WandaVision, Doctor Strange 2, Loki, What If, another Ant-Man, and Guardians of the Galaxy, Hawkeye and Thor, all knowing that you're going to be going in caring about these characters. There's also Blade and Fantastic Four, already being beloved IPs. Then we got Shang-Chi. At first, seemed as though it was going to be its own thing, until they dropped Wong and the Abomination in the trailer, as well as early reviews all talking about how emotional the post-credit scenes are, and what they mean for the future of the MCU, showing that they're ready to consume whatever comes next. Also, as exciting as Spider-Man No Way Home looks, it's going to have a tough time with all the characters it'll be juggling. Not only having to find a way to manage all these extras popping up, but they can't just be planks of wood. They're gonna need character, and that is all I ask. Thanks for watching. This is very much an experiment for me with what direction I'll want to be taking with making videos. Please tell me if I fucked anything up along the way. This is a learning curve for me. If you liked the video, let me know, because this is my first real attempt at creating any sort of content that isn't just mucking around on editing software, so I'd love to hear if anyone enjoys it. Apart from that, I guess I'll see you when I see ya. Uru, catch you later.